Hello everybody! Yesterday you saw me open up this pre-release pack with these 6 boosters and this pre-release card, Manifold Mouse. Today I'm going to actually crack open these packs and build a pre-release deck from start to finish. So let's get started. The first thing I do is I open up all 6 of my packs, and I think a lot of people are tempted to let go and start sorting them right away or look at the rare, but I always open them right away because it actually helps out your store when it comes to trash. Just putting all the trash in one place for them to carry away right away. It makes it a little bit easier on them and your store owner. So it's just a nice little courtesy of them. You can still keep it in one nice stack like this, like I'm doing right here. But so you can still be surprised as you look through and see all the rares and stuff. But it's a nice little courtesy. So if you can do it, try and do it. Not every store operates the same that mine do, but generally I find it's a nice little behavioral practice. Back when I was a judge, I know I appreciated when players did this. So I'm going to take these packs, throw them away, and then what I start doing is I want to start sorting by color, right? So our goal is to build a 40 card deck, and you want to kind of figure out what colors you want to play. So the way I do it is I sort by color, and I know that some people will get really freaked out by how I'm doing this. I go through and grab all the ones of a specific color instead of going one at a time. I believe this is faster. Some people in the comments have challenged me on this. I actually am going to work on a video upcoming where I try sorting it both ways. We can finally determine which way is faster. But anyway, I sort this way. And kind of what I do as I'm sorting this way is I just keep a general eye out for things that might interest me later on down the road. I'll remove the basic lands and tokens and stuff too. But I keep a general eye out for things that might interest me kind of down the road a little bit. But we'll have plenty of time to review what we're opening up here and make some picks of what we want to play with. So generally, once again, what you're trying to build here is a 2-color deck. You can splash a 3rd color if you want to, and we might end up doing that today, who knows. But in general, good practice is to play 2 colors, and you're going to want to stick to 40 cards. Now, you can go over 40 cards. There's nothing saying you can't play above 40 cards, but the thing is, every card you play above 40 reduces your chance of drawing your best cards. I know a lot of people say, oh, I'll just play the 41st card. It's harmless. Well, imagine that every time you draw that 41st card, you are 1 card further away from drawing your bomb rare or something like that. So you really want to try and stick to 40 if you can. There are extreme circumstances where, yes, maybe if your opponent's playing a mill deck, you might sideboard an extra card or 2. It can happen. But even then, generally, it's better just to stick to 40 cards on the nose. So 2 colors, 40 cards, and you're going to end up playing about 23 non-land cards and 17 lands. That can, wiggle up and down by 1 depending on your deck, but that's kind of the gist of it. So we're really looking for 23 playable cards. That's all we got to narrow it down to. And that's going to kind of be the process we're going to do here. Sometimes a color might seem kind of shallow, not actually have that many cards you want to play in it. But, well, hey, you know what? If you have enough, if it has just enough for you to get across the finish line to build a good deck, the cards you're playing in your sideboard aren't going to do any good, So you can play, sometimes even if a color doesn't look like it's the deepest, it might still be the thing you want to play. And we'll kind of see how that turns out today here. So here's all these sorted out. I'm going to now put them in Wooburg order, both for my own sanity and because I know that the people in the comments will be very angry if I don't. So, although I am tempted just to mess it up every time just for fun. Okay, so here's all of these sorted out now. And I'm going to take all these lands and art cards. You're not going to need these. Your store will let you borrow as many basic lands as you want. So I'm just going to go ahead and set these aside. And I'm going to just look through each color and kind of identify things that stand out to me as exceptional or things I want to play. So there's almost always filler cards you can include, but I'm really looking for a few main categories. 1, evasion, what are like some good evasive creatures. 2, removal spells. And 3, what are like some bomb or just really strong cards and I might be interested in playing here. So Intrepid Rabbit, totally fine card, right? You can pay 4 mana for a 3/2 and a 1/1, pumps up some creatures. Very solid. Nothing that I'm going to be like, oh man, I have to play this, but it's very, very, very good. If I'm playing white, it's very playable. Decent trick here. Okay, this is a nice card. So this is a 3 mana 3/1 flyer. And when it or creature with flying dies, you can bring back a smaller creature. So even if you ignore this block of text, 3 mana 3/1 flyer is very playable. You just start clocking in for a bunch of damage early. I personally love playing birds in this format because all the evasion is really nice. Here's another bird right here, speaking of. And so, every 2-color archetype is going to have a bit of a creature type, to focus on. So that helps you go in a direction. There's the Warren Elder. Now, in a sealed deck especially, you're not going to have every card in your deck be a bird or a rat or whatever. The 2-color pairing can help point you in a direction. Here's a decent removal spell right here in Repel Calamity. It's not always going to work, but there are some pretty big creatures in this set you got to be worried about to get that moose out of here. This is a little. First of all, the art on this is incredible. I love this booster fun piece, but this is a little protection trick. It's okay. It's much more of a commander card than anything else. 3 mana 3/3, fine. This card, another 3 mana 3/3. It's got a good bonus on it. The red-white or the red-green deck, the rabbits want to just get as many creatures into play as possible going wide. If you're doing that, this can draw you some extra cards, so that's nice. It's a solid card. Nothing I'm gonna go nuts for. Going nuts is the squirrels thing though, so I'm not doing that. Not in white. If you're playing a Valiant deck, the Mouse Trapper is quite strong, right? So whenever this becomes targeted, you get to tap one of their creatures for the first time in a turn. A lot easier to pull off in draft than sealed. Valiant's a lot easier in draft. But still, you can trigger it often enough here. Banishing Light, now that's a nice one. This is just a classic removal spell, or it feels weird saying that, because to me it's still new, but it's been around for a long time in Magic now. 3 mana, get rid of whatever non-land permanent you want until it goes away, which hopefully won't happen. Very nice. And then another one of these Harvest Strike hosts. So, White Say White is decent. We've got a very solid removal spell. We've got a situational removal spell that's still pretty good in Repel Calamity. We've got these 2 Harvest Strike hosts, which I think are pretty solid. And we've got the Jackdaw Savior, so some pretty decent stuff coming out here in white. Nothing that says I have to play white, but certainly I think white is a deep and solid option. Let's go on to blue. See what we got going on over here in blue. Okay, so this card is totally fine. It's nothing too wild. You can make a prowess token. You can flash it back, get a second copy of the creature. It's cool. Nothing mind blowing. This card's all right. You make something unblockable. Cares about frogs a little bit. The Longer Lurker is only okay. A counter spell, you can play it if you need to, but nothing that's going to get me super stoked. Now this card is excellent. This is a mind control, basically. It's a control magic. So 4 mana, steal their creature. You usually gift them the card back, so make sure that doesn't get 3 stun counters. But even if you don't want to gift them the card, it's just 4 mana to basically kill off their creature. And it can also just be control magic if you could give them a card. Control magic is a very strong limited card, so this is a pretty huge one right here. It's a really nice card. 5 mana, 3/3, blink something, totally okay. If you have good ETBs, it's fine. Another one of these lurkers. It's a fine card. 2 mana, 2/1, comes into play, loot, it's okay. 4 mana, 3/4. Yeah, this is a card I don't love that much. 4 mana, 3/4, Surveil 2 with Prowess. It's only okay. I'm not super into it. I play it if I have to. Combat Trick. This card's decent. 3 mana, 2/2 flyer. Give something, jump something for a turn. You can pay 6 mana to get an extra 1/1 flyer and jump something else late in the game. Totally fine blue card. It lets you surveil every turn. A little bit of card selection. Totally decent card. Really nice once you get the threshold on. This is a nightmare for your opponents to deal with. Although you do have to be careful to not have it die to a removal spell in combat and suddenly mess everything up for you. So that's a pretty solid card. Runaway Together, a solid bounce spell / trick. And Thought Shucker, which is totally fine. Blue is really not a lot pulling me into blue. I mean, there's some okay cards, except for this Kidnap. This Kidnap is great, but the rest of blue is kind of only okay. So still looking for something to pull me in stronger. Could see myself playing blue because of the Kidnap, but let's see what else we have going on. Now, black is pretty shallow. There's not a ton of cards here, but let's see how good they are. The Agate Blade Assassin. This is great for helping triggering your lizard's Bloodthirst style abilities. So it's okay. Here's this Marsh Stalker, which 2 mana, 3/1 that gets bigger for your rats. It's all right. Can come back from your graveyard if you have rats. Now, here's a solid removal spell. This is nice. 3 mana, kill off a creature. You lose 2 life. If you want to give them a food, you can also do that. That's fine. Doesn't make a huge difference either way. This is a great removal spell. Love that. Another pretty mediocre creature here, the Agate Blade Assassin again. Now here is the Scavenger's Talent. This is the first one of these class cards we've seen here. The way it works is you play it for this mana cost, you can get it to level 2 for this mana cost, and then level 3 for this mana cost in order. This one gives you food when your creatures die. Not that strong. It then, when you sack a permanent, you mill them for 2. Also not that strong. So the first 2 levels aren't really doing a lot. Or you can mill yourself for 2 is probably what you want to do here, I guess. But with the 3rd level, when you get to the 3rd level, you can sack 3 non-land permanents to zombify a creature. So if you are self-milling yourself a bunch, if you're going wide, you're getting, like a bunch of food tokens, if you're playing squirrels, this could be a thing you might want to play. but it's pretty tough to make work in limited. It's not the easiest thing, and the first two modes are not super strong. The food can be useful sometimes, right? You can forge away with it. You can gain some life if the game goes long, but it's nothing that's going to get me like super, I have to play this, you know. This card's okay. Thornplate Intimidator. The Rot Collar. So here is, there's one of these for several of the creature combinations, I guess. This is all the black creature pairing. So squirrels are green-black, bats are white-black, lizards are red-black, rats are blue-black. So this cares about all the black batches of creatures. When it attacks, you drain them for X, where X is the number of those you control. Pretty strong, actually limited, right? Because if you just get 2 and it's attacked, drain them for 2 with Menace. This card can be pretty solid. So a very decent card. 3 mana, 1/3 flying Death Touch, actually very reasonable. The fact that it has this little gain or lose life bonus is just a nice gravy to make it a 2/3 sometimes. But just being able to have a 3 toughness Death Touch creature, especially that can block 2/2 flyers in the air, is good. And you know, there's a bunch of random offsprings running around. So if you're playing a slower deck, having just a nice blocker for that can be okay. Here's a decent removal spell. 5 mana kill a creature. Usually the 5 mana killer creatures are not cards that I always play, but in Sealed, you'll play them. It's an instant. You'll play this card. It's fine. And then here's one of the 3 mana 2/2 flyers I was mentioning a second ago. Let's you Surveil 1 if you're doing the bat thing of gaining or losing life. So I would say black was all right. It's a little shallow, as I said before. It does have a couple removal spells that are nice, in Nocturnal Hunger and Early Winter. I'd say black is kind of okay. Maybe I can consider splashing for like the hunger if I want to. Probably not leaning toward black at the moment, but let's see what else we get. Let's go ahead and look at red, which is of course kicked off by this Manifold Mouse, which is excellent. Triggering your Valiant triggers on your mice. Getting 2 of these is pretty powerful, so it's a great place to start here. Now here's Artist Talent. This is another one of these class cards. The first mode, it depends how many non-creatures you have. The otters are all about non-creatures, so probably better in that deck than others. Lets you kind of rummage if you want. Level 2 is not that strong and limited because it costs so much mana to get there that the discount is not so big. And then the last one is also kind of hard to do. So really, you'd only play this for the first mode a lot of the time. It's not that strong, so probably not making the cut. I do like Frilled Sparkshooter a lot. This 4 mana 3/3 that if you've hit them this turn, pretty easy to do in limited. Comes into play as a 4/4 Menace Reach. Very nice way to kind of keep the pressure going. Here's a 1-drop mouse you could put right in that mouse deck. Now, it's not that often your sealed decks end up aggressive, but you know, maybe it could be with the kind of cards I'm seeing right here with this Manifold Mouse and the Heartfire Hero. Really good 1/2 puncher. You go turn 1 Heartfire Hero into the Manifold Mouse. You target the hero. It becomes a 2/2. It gains double strike. You attack for 4 right away. Pretty darn good. So that's a quite strong curve. Here's another mouse with Valiant. Seeing a bunch of Valiant stuff going on here. When it comes targeted, you get to Rummage. 2 mana 2/2. Totally solid card. Nice removal spell, 2 mana deal 3 with a little rider if you control a raccoon. Here's a card that lets you just do your normal, what do we call this? Like we've done so many of these now, but yeah, a rummaging style effect that draws you to Tormenting Voice. That's the word I was looking for. Can also pump a creature in a pinch if you need to. Oh, it's all right. Here's a removal spell, 6 damage to a creature and 2 to a token. I'll call out that this is better than normal here because of the offspring. So it usually kills off a creature and an offspring. So pretty nice little one right there. 2 mana 2/2 gives something haste, pretty solid. Notably, this can repeatedly trigger your Valiance as well. Wildfire Howl. Now this is just a board sweeper, 2 to each creature. You can also deal an additional 1 damage if you need it to. Comes up every now and then. But 3 mana deal 2 to all creatures, decent. Great Valiant enabler here. Might of the Meek deals gives something with +1/+0 if you control a mouse, trample, but draw a card. So just 1 mana cantrip with Valiant is great. Flamecash Gecko is excellent. 2 mana 2/2 that can rummage repeatedly and gives you mana back if an opponent lost life this turn. It's very nice. Here's this Roughshod Duo, a totally fine card. Here's the Harnesser of Storms. This card is quite strong if you have enough non-creatures in your deck. It lets you draw so many cards turn over turn, even cap that once per turn. If you have enough non-creatures, it's pretty easy to make this turn into several cards over the course of the game. And then another Frilled Sparkshooter. So that's what we have there. And I would say that I think the red is looking pretty decent, actually. I think this is our strongest color yet. Let's see what green has in store for us. Here's Sunshower Druid. It puts a counter on something. It's a good one to keep looping with green-blue, which is the frogs picking themselves up and using them over and over. Okay card, nothing I'm going to get excited about. Nothing too crazy there. This card's decent, right? 3 mana, 4/4 reach. It's a great rate for limited. And if you give them a card, you can kill off an artifact or enchantment, which there are certainly some rolling around, right? A Banishing Light or otherwise. This card's all red if you're caring about counters. Another one of these druids. Okay, here's something kind of exciting. This is a 1 mana 2/1 trample. So we're gonna start there. Quite the rate. Whenever you become targeted by something that they control, you can put a counter on one of your creatures as well. So it's just an all upside 1 mana 2/1. It's really nice. You can offspring it if you need to. So a pretty solid constructed card. Happy to play it in limited, but it's not gonna be bananas in limited or anything like that. Fine card gets you a bunch of lands if you're trying to ramp up. Another fine card for if you're a raccoon, right? 2 mana 2/2 lets you expend. Here's this card, or if you expend rather, it gets a little bigger. A card for your squirrel deck. You can mill some stuff and get something back. Here's the Polywalp. This is a nice fight spell. Yep, might be all right. The Galewind Moose. This is a nice 6 mana creature. You're not gonna be able to play that many 6 mana cards, but this card comes in as a surprise. Can block flyers. It's pretty decent. This is a pretty decent card. And then this trick. My green looks okay. The Scrapshooter is nice as like an above rate creature. It's got this removal spell in the Polywalp and then the Moose, but other than that, it's kind of some filler green stuff. Let's take a look at our gold cards now, or including hybrid, seeing what we have. The Cutthroat is a great card if you're an aggressive kind of strategy. If you keep the pressure up, pretty easy to make this a 3 mana 4/3 that can get menace. The Angler, if you're playing non-creatures, is decent. Otherwise, 3 mana 2/2 is nothing that special. If you would get to expend this card, it's a 6/6 Trampler for 5, so a Dreadmaw. Oh man, here's even the card for our mouse deck. Red-white mice might be what we're going. When this becomes targeted, it gets a +1/+1 counter. I'm really interested in this mice move. Here's the Moonrise Cleric. It's fine. 3 mana 2/3 flyer. Gives you some life. It is double white symbols if I was to go white-red. Here's the Veteran Guard Mouse. When you target him, it gets +1/+1 first strike. So kind of a 4/4 first striker. If you can keep doing it, you get to scry a little bit too. Here's the Wandertail Mentor. So the red-green signpost card, which are all called mentors in this set. Another one of these clerics. Here's the Barrow Guard Mentor, which is the green-white signpost, so that's nice. Head of the Homestead, 5 mana 3/2 mage 1/1's totally fine. Here's the Squire. This card's pretty solid. 4 mana 3/3 that pumps up a non-flyer when it attacks. As you're playing this. Oh, and a second Barrow Guard Mentor. That's notable. I mean, these Barrow Guard Mentors are pretty strong, right? The board goes wide, the game goes long. These things get huge. Not hard to make this a 4/4 5/5 Trampler. Or even more with all the tokens going on. And then just finally, we got 2 of these lands. You'll usually play these if you're in the colors. If you're 2 colors, these just help out the creature types that are going to naturally be in your deck anyway. So pretty good includes. This card can help fix to get a color, and this card is just a decent equipment. You can play this sometimes. Well, I gotta say, after going through all that, I really like the way my red looked. I think that the Valiant stuff is potentially really appealing. It's got some decent removal. So red is the way I want to go. The thing that's not clear to me is which color to pair it with. I want to go back and look at my white. How much stuff in here that cared about Valiant? Like this wants you to go wide. Here's a cheap trick here. Enables metal. Yeah, I mean, red-white does look pretty solid. This notably untaps target something so it can trigger your Valiant triggers. You can play these Harvest Right hosts. This has Valiant on it. I'm really liking what I'm seeing here with the red-white. Is it going to be better than red-green? I think so. Normally I build up a bunch of different decks when I'm doing this, but it really seems like I'm being pushed toward red-white. I don't think the blue is going to be enough to get anywhere to recap, so I'm just going to start building this red-white deck. Now, I will call out that these 2 Barrow Guard Mentors are a huge pull for me. I think these are quite strong and really easy to make powerful. And, if I wanted to go white-green or even Naya, white-red-green and splash, this card's even good, even though it costs 2 mana, it's even good late in the game. I could see doing that. But let's start with the straight red-white build and see how it looks. So I'm just going to take all my non-red-white cards, just like this. I'm going to set them over to the side. I'm going to get 2 of these lands to play. Come on, look at that. Might look at these artifacts later, we'll see. And let's just start laying out what my curve would look like. So the way I do this, as I mentioned in my pre-release primer video before, is I kind of lay it out by mana curve. And you want to put the stuff you're going to play on that turn up top, like this, and the stuff you're not going to play on that turn down below. So Banishing Light, for example, I'm almost never going to play on turn 3. So that goes down here. Because it's not really a 3-drop. It's good to know that it costs 3, but if I'm looking at my curve and this is up here and I have 4 Banishing Lights, I don't actually have a card I'm going to play on turn 3, right? So, and this is like, and I kind of put things where I think they would go. For example, the Intrepid Rabbit here, I would count as a 4-drop a lot of the time. You can play it without Offspring, but I think I'm going to Offspring it in most cases. The extra creature is just so worth the extra mana. So I'm going to count that as a 4-drop here. So I'll go ahead and just lay these out. I think Dawn's Truce is probably unlikely to make the cut. So I'm going to set that over to the side. Here's the Thistledown Player, another host. So a lot of 2-drops here. But let's just lay these out. And, oops, this goes right here. I'm not going to place Artist Talent. Sparkshooter will go here. The Heartfire Hero is an awesome 1-drop for us. A little bit of glare there on the side. I'm sorry about that. Let's see if I can shift these over. Make that a little bit better. Okay. The Scribe is a great Valiant card. Here's a little removal spell. This is a Go Wide Trick I might use. Here's another removal spell. Here's the Sweeper. Now, this Sweeper is not as good in this deck as in, say, Red-Green, because a lot of my creatures are small. It's in Sealed. It's probably still worth playing a lot of the time, because if you get behind, you can sweep their board. But these cards are, they used to be really strong and limited. They're a lot less strong these days, especially in these smaller decks, so not always the thing you want. Man, this deck looks nice. I gotta say, now we're gonna have to cut some cards, but just the shape of this is good, right? We have 1, 2, I'd say like 2 removal spells I'm pretty happy with. We have kind of 2 fringy removal spells and a sweeper. Our curve looks pretty fantastic. We're actually like exactly what I want out of a red-white aggressive deck. And, we've got a lot of stuff going on. So the next thing I'll do is I'm just curious, how many cards is this? This is way too many cards. I know from looking at it. Well, let's just see how many we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. There's just 26 cards, so we have to cut 3 cards from here. And I really feel like this is the direction I want to go with this deck. I mean, sometimes you just crack your Sealed Pool and it gets handed to you. If I wanted to splash the green, I would look at probably, maybe I'd splash like the Poliwhirl up, potentially. I wouldn't want to splash the Moose because it's green. And it doesn't really go with what I'm trying to do in this deck. I don't think even these are like super what I want to do in this deck, although they are good aggressive creatures. They're of course I'd play them if I could, but they're not worth splashing for, I think. The thing about building a deck is you want to be able to think about what your strategy is. And in red-white, this is an aggressive strategy. This deck is going to be aggressive. So a 6-drop is way less appealing to me. And even though I don't have much beyond 4 mana, that's okay, because I wanted to just kind of try and hit them fast and hard and end the game quick. I don't want 6 drops rolling around in my hand, okay? So normally what I do at this point is I kind of learned this trick from a local limited aficionado, Brian Wong, is now that I figured out that these are the colors I like and I'm close on cards, I pull back all the cards that I might be a little iffy on. So anything that's like I'm not solid to play, I pull back in my hand. So I'm definitely going to want to play this, but I might not play this. I think I'm going to want to play all of these as removal spells and combat tricks. I might not play this, though. I'm going to play this as a removal spell. I think I'll probably play the Provisioner, but I will put it up here for a second. I think I want all these 4-drops. I'll have to count my non-creature spells for the Harnesser of Storms, though it is pretty strong. The Roughshod Duo is only okay. I'm going to pull that back for a second. The rest of these are quite solid. I think I want all these 2-drops. Both you need a density of 2-drops for an aggressive deck. Yeah, okay, so here's kind of what I did. I pulled back these 5 cards, and these are the 5 cards I was the most iffy on, I would say. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add I had to cut 3 cards before, so now I get to add 2 of these to my deck. And now it's kind of like I'm deck building. I can look at everything I'm playing and decide which of these are the cards I really want. So the first thing I'm going to say is I think that this Roughshod Duo is just not a card I need. I already have 5 3-drops. I'm not going to even be expending 4 necessarily that often. 3 mana 3/2 is nothing that special, so that one going to get the cut. So it's down to half of these. I play 2 of these 4 cards. This Harnesser is really strong if I have enough non-creatures. So there's a question of how many of those do I have. Now I've got 6 right here. It also counts otters. I should do a quick otter check. Otters are going to appear in red. Do I have any other otters? I do not. So it's just counting off my non-creatures. So 3 mana 1/4 that does it once, I'm probably not going to play. I think I am interested probably in playing this Brew. I think I want this 5-drop flyer. So that's the card I know I want. I just want a little bit of extra evasion. Puts a counter on something which triggers Valiant. So I'm definitely going to want to play that. So just about which one of these 3 cards I'm interested in the most. I can either play this Board Sweeper, which is not the best for me, but it can be good if I fall behind. This Brew, which lets me both, smooth out my curve, pump up a creature, triggers Valiant if I need to, at the cost of giving them a fish. Or this Harnesser of Storms, which I just don't have a ton of non-creature spells for. I mean, if I trigger it twice, maybe that's worth it. Takes a lot of work to get there, though. It's only till the end of this turn, too. I think it's not going to be the Harnesser for me. I think it's going to be this Brew. It's just an extra Valiant target. I can sideboard this in. I'll keep this in mind to sideboard in if needed. But these are these, and I actually realized now I didn't pull out some of the gold cards I'd be interested in. That was on me. So I think this Cutthroat, I gotta do a bit of reconsidering, because the Cutthroat is a card I would be interested in. Obviously, this Mentor I want. It's pretty wild. Sometimes you gotta try and look for playables. In this deck, I was like, just set my gold cards off to the side, forgot about them, and I and I had enough cards I was happy with. So this pool is really loaded for red-white. Sometimes that just happens. All right, so now we're gonna have to make a couple harder choices. All right, so I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm 100% to play this Seedglaive Mentor. That is the on-color gold uncommon. I don't think I'm gonna play this Head of the Homestead. I do have 2 Harvest Right Hosts, which is good with, but I don't need the 5-mana 3/2 that goes wide quite as much. I might want this 4-drop Flyer. I think that's gonna be pretty nice. It also targets for the Valiant. I think I'm going to want this Veteran Guard Mouse probably, or at least I want to consider it. And the rest of these I think I'm probably not going to play. 3-mana 2/3 Flyer is okay. It's double pipped, but I don't think it's better than the other 3-drops I have lying around here. I don't think it makes the cut over these Harvest Right Hosts, which can pump up my creatures and maybe draw me cards. I guess it requires rabbits entering to be good. I don't have like that many rabbits. I guess I could consider pulling back the Harvest Right Hosts. Let's do that. Consider this. All right. And this is also a consideration. So things got a little trickier. Man, I can't believe I just put my red and white gold cards to the side and I was like, this deck is sweet. It's a little hiccup. Well, I might not be playing this Brew now because I got some other fish to fry, pun intended, I guess, on this. These 2-drops are pretty solid. I don't think I want to cut any of these 2s. So it's really going to be these... It's really going to be down to these. I mean, maybe I could cut one of these Spark Shooters, but if you get the 4/4 menace on turn 4, it's just so strong. The Rabbit is going to be good too. It triggers my Valiance. All right, so and I might pull this back as well. So let's count the cards now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So I get 3 of these. Okay, I was like, wow, there's not that many choices before. That explains why. A bunch of my cards were off to the side. Man, we got some real choices to make right here. Okay, so I think I want at least 1 more, if not 2 more 3-drops. I think I only want 1 more 4-drop. So I guess it's going to be a choice between the Seed Pod Squire and this Veteran Guard Mouse. My guess is I'm going to want the Squire. 4-mana 3/3 Flyer is just a lot stronger than 4-mana 3/4 on the ground, and the ability to trigger Valiant on some of the stuff that has it is really nice. So I think I'm going to want to play this. Even though this has Valiant and can become a 4/4 first striker, I think it's going to have to... Like, it's either that or the Spark Shooter, I think. I mean, maybe the Intrepid Rapid kind of counts as a 3-drop, but I really think I'm going to want to play it on 4. I'm really planning on just keeping the pressure up with all these 2-drops. So I think I want the Cutthroat in my deck here. I just don't think these Moonrise Clerics are going to make it. I don't think 3-mana 2/3 Flyer... that might be a little tricky to cast sometimes because of the white is going to make it. I don't really care about the life gain. So I think those are not going to cut it. I don't think this Brew is going to cut it after all. Now that I know that I have these other options. I don't think this random 5-drop that is going to be kind of hard to make a 6/6 is going to cut it. So I included that. One, I get 2 of these, huh? Would I rather have the Harvest Right Host or the Cutthroat? The Host targets something, so it can trigger Valiant, which, I don't have like infinite cards for, but I've got like the Whisker Quill Scribe, I've got this Mouse Trapper, got the Hero, which I'm going to really want to be able to target. How many rabbits do I have lying around? I have the Intrepid Rabbit, which is kind of the combo with it. It's not that strong, I guess. 3-mana 3/3 that +1/+those when it comes into play is a lot weaker than maybe some other options. So I guess I'll probably play this Cutthroat just as a 3-mana 4/3. I can get Menace and keep the pressure up there. All right, goodbye, Harvest Right Hosts. Right, you need rabbits to come into play, so cut those. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. This is 22. So I get to play at least one of these. I'll call out, this is a deck that could very easily be 16 lands. So what causes me to play a 16 land deck? Well, if my curve is really low, like this deck's curve is, so I don't currently have anything above 4 mana, although I can play one of these. This is maybe a 5 mana card. I have a cantrip here that'll draw me a new card already. So and I've got this guy who also lets me rummage. It's just easy for me to not need many lands. And in a deck like this, if you flood out, it can be pretty bad news. I will call out, I do have these 2 utility lands, so if I flood out, it's not the end of the world, so I don't have to necessarily play fewer lands. I think I do want to play this Provisioner just as a 5-drop that flies. You're going to want some evasion in this deck when the ground gets gummed up. So the big question for me now is 16th land or the 17th land or this Guard Mouse. Yeah, I mean, let's see how many ways I have to how consistently can I do this? I have one way to trigger Valiant. This will consistently trigger it. The Rabbit can come into play and trigger it. These players can trigger it every turn. The Rallier can trigger it every turn. The Mouse, of course, can trigger it every turn. And I do want a lot of mice in my deck for the Manifold Mouse. Giving them Double Strike or Trample is like a really, really, really huge deal. What's my mouse count? Mouse check. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, this Life Creed duo. You've been hanging out here for too long. I don't think I need you. He's kind of hiding underneath there. This is, it is a 2-drop, and I do want all the 2-drops I can get, but 2 mana, 1/2 flyer is not going to make the cut here, I think. That gives me some life. I thought that was a different card. So I think I'll play that and then probably play 16 lands. Let me just look through here one more time, make sure I didn't miss anything going on. Sorry, I'll play that and 17 lands, rather. I could play this as an extra 5. I don't really think I need it, though. I'm going to be running out of stuff to do. I could play this as an additional 3-drop. I think I'll just play the 17 lands here. I've got enough to do with my 2 lands. There's a Starforged Sword, which I can give a fish to equip for +3/+3. I think that's probably not going to make it. I don't think I really want that here. The sword is decent, but it's another 4-drop. I think I'd rather probably just have the creature. Although +3/+3 on a equipment is certainly no joke. Maybe I should play this, but I think I'm gonna run without it and see how it goes. So I think this is the deck I would build, and so I would play both these villages right here. So that leaves us with 15 available lands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yeah, so 23. So that leaves us with 15 available land slots. I definitely want to slant red over white. The reason why is I've got a red 1-drop. I've got 2 if you count this as a card you'll want to play on curve sometime. But you also have, well, not on turn 1, but just fit it into your curve somewhere. But also you've got 4 2-drops right here, so that are red. So I want to be slanted red. So I would probably go a total of 9 red sources and 8 white sources. So that's 9 mountains, or I guess 8 mountains and 7 plains alongside these 2. And I'm pretty happy with this deck. This land also triggers Valiant over and over, by the way. Man, this deck looks great. I would be very happy with this as my pre-release deck. Maybe you would do something differently, though. You can let me know in the comments. Yes, there is maybe a cool rabbit deck I could have built, but this red-white Valiant deck looks awesome, and I would be thrilled to play with it in a pre-release. Hopefully this was helpful to you. You kind of enjoyed seeing me build the deck from start to finish. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And until then, have fun preparing for your Bloomburrow pre-release. You got this.